MCAT 2017 Cram. Critical Analysis and Reasoning Skills. Flashcard Set 6.6. The Ethics of Drug-Induced Happiness. As you view the reading of this passage, you'll notice a few snippets of highlighted text in the format of both type font. What I want you to do is garner meaning from these specific selections in order to answer the Foundations of Comprehension question that follows. This question will require that you demonstrate that you recognize an accurate paraphrase or summary of the central theme. And I recommend that when the time comes for you to answer the question, you open up a second window and view the passage again so that you can select the snippets that you're going to use to support the correct answer choice. All right? Okay.
Paragraph 1. Kant says that one's duty to oneself consists in a prohibition against making oneself a plaything of mere inclinations. This is a truly persuasive argument regarding human dignity because the essence of human dignity must be considered to be never to deal with a person as a thing. It seems that the domination of a person by drug-induced happiness should be regarded as a clear violation of human dignity because it is equal to debase a person to a plaything of inclinations. Hence, human dignity is taken away in exchange for a sense of happiness induced by a drug. Let us go on further in the case of drug-induced happiness. Those people are deprived of the freedom to feel unhappiness and are degraded to a plaything of mere inclinations. Hence, they are considered to be devoid of human dignity. This means that a life with dignity necessarily requires that one's freedom to feel unhappiness be totally guaranteed in one's actual life. A life with dignity means a life that is not dominated by the sense of happiness. Paragraph 2. A life with dignity has two characteristics. First, as has already been discussed above, a life with dignity is free from domination by a sense of happiness, regardless of whether or not it is acquired by means of drugs. Moreover, a life with dignity should also be free from domination by our own strong desire to experience that kind of happiness. The former domination comes from the outside, the latter originates from inside. Oneself. Second, a life with dignity is free from domination by the sense of unhappiness. This idea is more familiar to us than the first. A life with dignity should be free from the domination of negative thoughts about one's existence or one's own value. People sometimes fall victim to this kind of self-negation when experiencing such hardships as severe and repeated abuse, the death of loved ones, or devastating disasters. In these cases, human dignity means the belief that whatever their suffering and hardships, all human beings have a possibility to escape from domination by the sense of unhappiness and to regain the sense of self-affirmation at some point in their future life. Hence, it might be allowed to use psychoactive drugs like SSRIs. Now, this is not a part of the original text, but a lot of people taking the MCAT aren't familiar with this classification of drugs. They are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors or serotonin-specific reuptake inhibitors, okay? And they're a class of drugs that are typically used as antidepressants in the treatment of major depressive disorder and anxiety disorders. Okay, to medically support this recovery process for a limited period of time, paying special attention to the danger of domination by the sense of happiness. Paragraph 3. Consider if the heart of a person who was in the depths of despair is filled with a sense of happiness caused by a perfect happiness drug. As a result, drug-induced happiness dominates the person, and he or she is deprived of a life with dignity. A person who was dominated by despair and the sense of unhappiness becomes able to escape from that mental state and to begin an effort to regain the sense of self-affirmation. If such a medication can Paragraph 3. Provide the person with an opportunity to explore his or her life with a sense of affirmation. It should be considered good news. This is not deprivation of human dignity because it enables that person to escape from the domination of the sense of unhappiness. Hence, I do not claim that the use of existing psychoactive drugs such as SSRIs immediately deprives us of human dignity or that its use ought to be prohibited. What I raise is an alarm over is the use of a hypothetical perfect happiness drug that could fill our heart with complete happiness. And what I have done so far has been a philosophical investigation of the relationship between human dignity and the manipulation of the sense of happiness using a perfect happiness drug as an example. It can be inferred from the passage that the author believes that SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or A, should be used to provide temporary relief from despair, B, are completely unnatural, C, result in gross distortions of reality, or D, should be illegal. Definitely press pause if you need to, and I'll give you a moment to think. All right, hopefully by now you've arrived at the correct answer. Okay, so the format of its question stem is Foundations of Comprehension, and it wants you to basically recognize an accurate paraphrase in these answer choices of particular statements made in the passage about SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. All right, so let's start out. In paragraph 3, the author explains that while a perfect happiness drug has the potential to deprive a person of, quote, a life with dignity by enabling happiness to dominate the person's life, it can also relieve a person from being dominated by despair, okay? In this sense, such a person may, quote, begin an effort to regain his sense of self-affirmation. So everything I just quoted from the passage is consistent with answer choice A, all right? But let's take a look at some of the other answer choices or explore their validity or discredit them, okay? The author never outright rejects SSRIs as being unnatural, as purported by answer choice 2, or because they distort reality, which is mentioned in answer choice C. And in the last paragraph, the author rejects the notion that SSRIs should be illegal, okay? By saying, I do not claim that the use of existing psychoactive drugs such as SSRIs ought to be prohibited. So that's a direct quote from the passage. So answer choice D can be eliminated as well, and the correct answer choice seems to be answer choice A. SSRIs should be used to provide temporary relief from despair. All right? Okay.